auditions for different movies, and yeah, I always like to come back.
Nice.
I like the food, and everything is organized, and it kind of reminds me of Sweden a little bit, my own country.
Yeah, it is. Well, we like our schnitzels.
Kartoffelknödel.
Oh yes, kartoffel. My dear audience, you remember the rules. If you have questions, hands up. But before that, I would like to talk with you a little bit. I've heard that you like meditating.
That's right, yeah. I meditated this morning for 45 minutes or so.
Nice. Do you do it daily?
Yes, I haven't missed a day in about 6 years.
Nice. And what made you meditate? Because I'm a meditator myself, so I'm very interested.
What happened was I had some issues, some trauma from my childhood because of my dad. It was kind of very brutal with me, and it was kind of violent. So about 7 years ago, I started doing therapy, and to deal with that emotion, which is why I was a good fighter and why I became an actor and so forth. But you can hijack the emotion, use it, but if in order to actually work on it, you know, meditation is another way to kind of get to it. Also with psychotherapy. So my psychotherapist actually was the one who recommended it to me, and I just started with a little DVD. A guy named Jack Cornfield, who's kind of famous.
Yeah.
And I started doing about 2 or 3 minutes, which I thought was a lot. Sit still.
So difficult, isn't it?
2 or 3 minutes, and then it became 10 minutes, 15 and 20, you know, 30, 40, whatever. Sometimes I do an hour, but it depends. It's just a way of quieting my mind down, you know, and yeah, try to think skillful thoughts and get rid of the unskillful thoughts.
It is very, very difficult to quiet down the mind and going back to the middle, isn't it? So yeah, well done for you. 45 minutes a day. I'm impressed. I cannot do 10.
Thanks.
Yeah. But we're here to talk about your career and the movies you made. And if anybody from the audience have a question, here you go. Yeah.
Hi, Mr. Lundgren. I'm David. I'm a big fan, and sorry that I ask you something like that, but I really, really want to know one thing. And that's the confrontation between you and JCVD during the promotion of Universal Soldier. Was that real or fake?
Jean-Claude who? Just kidding. No, that was his idea. It was something that we were in Cannes, and he wanted to do something for the cameras, you know, like a fight, you know, like way in for a fight. So it was his idea, but obviously it got a little bit. We both got a little bit upset, you know, at the time. But I know my wife at the time didn't know. She was like, "Oh," and I told him, "No, don't worry, it's Jean-Claude. It's crazy Jean-Claude, you know."
Fair enough. Thank you for that question. It was a good one. Anybody else?
Hello.
Hey,
Hey.
my friend from Greece. Did you get the picture, by the way?
Yes, it's
Okay.
very nice. Thank you.
Sorry. Okay.
I wanted to say that you inspire me of doing karate, and that now I'm a green belt. And to ask you if you want to make any more movies such as Universal Soldier or The Red Scorpion, or a big comeback.
Thank you. Well, you know, I had a little small mini comeback now with Creed 2 and Apocalypse. You know, Aquaman. So I'm trying to find better projects. You know, having been in those big movies helps. So I have a few projects right now. One I'm directing, which is shooting in Rome, starring and directing. Then there's another one I'm working on that is based on a Special Forces soldier from Finland. But he fought in the U.S. Special Forces in the Vietnam War, so it's about Vietnam. Just kind of interesting period, the 60s. And then I have another project, another thing that takes place in Mexico that's about immigration. It's kind of action. But I'm trying to find projects where I can play characters that are more human and that I can try to find some kind of a theme in the picture that has to do with something positive, forgiveness or compassion, whatever it is, even if it has action. So I think the world kind of needs it today. So there you go.
Thank you so much. That's a great answer, by the way. Guys, any questions? Here you go.
Hello, Mr. Lundgren. My name is Stefan. First of all, I want to let you know that I think you did an incredible appearance in Creed. It was awesome. I really had goosebumps all over my body when I watched the movie. It was awesome. Just wanted to let you know. And now I've got a question about Rocky IV. When did you actually get to know that your character will kill Apollo Creed? And how did it affect you in any way? Because Apollo Creed by that time was a really popular character, and there were fans all over the world. Were you maybe also kind of a bit afraid, you know, because your character would kill off Apollo Creed?
Yes, I mean, I don't remember exactly the first script. If I killed him, I can't remember, but I know that I was very excited to get this role because I wanted to be an actor, and this was a big film. Of course, I was a huge Rocky fan because I was a fighter, and I liked Apollo Creed's character, so I felt really bad about it, you know. But I mean, Stallone was my boss, and he, you know, hit him hard, Adolph. He was kind of, you know, he's the one who wanted to get rid of Creed. Because he probably asked for too much money. No, I don't know. He probably, he wanted a really sort of a big revenge situation for his character. So I was 27 years old, and it was my first big film, and it was a big deal for me. And I didn't really I couldn't argue and say, excuse me, Sly, but is it okay if I don't kill him? Can we change the story? No. But I know that Carl Weathers was upset, and he wanted to some kind of, you know, he didn't want to die, and I think he wanted like a little twitch in the foot or something, like he could still be alive, you know. But of course the funeral scene showed that he was dead, so people are still upset about it, you know. It's sort of, you know, sometimes I run into folks, I mean, now people know me. They know that I'm a Swedish actor, and I've done a lot of other movies, but back then when the film came out, you know, I had some hostility, you know, from certain groups in America, especially the black community, you know, they're really upset with me, you know, so like, you killed a brother, man, you know, it's like, so I have to run back to the limo a lot of times, you know. Okay.
Thank you so much. Another question?
Hello, Mr. Lundgren, I have a question. You've made the first movie with the Punisher. You've ever seen the second and the third Punisher movie?
No, I haven't seen the other films. Not because I didn't want to, I just, I never got to see them, so, you know, I don't watch that many movies. I'm always busy working, and I watch films if I think they're going to inspire me in some way, but I hear they're good, and I haven't seen them, so maybe one day I will. Thank you.
Thanks. Next question, please.
Thank you. Dorf, it's an honor to meet you.
Thanks.
And
I like your outfit, by the way. Looks familiar.
It's my outfit.
Thank you.
And my favorite movie is Rocky IV, and Ivan Drago is a beast. And thank you that you play Drago again. But it's too bad that a little fight cut from the scene between you and Rocky in the hospital. What think about it? Sorry.
Well, look, I liked the film, the way it came out, but Stallone was really upset about that, you know, because we shot that fight, and it was kind of cool to have Drago and Rocky fight again in the street. I don't know why it was taken out. Maybe because it was kind of a bit maybe a bit unrealistic in one way that it would happen. I don't know. I haven't even seen the cut footage. It's on the DVD, I think, but no, it isn't. I've heard, but what I did hear was that there's a scene at the end that was cut where after the fight, I'm sitting in the dressing room and I'm cutting the tape. That scene is in the DVD. Okay, have you seen it? I heard that scene was pretty good. But I have to, yeah, they took that out for, I'm not sure why. Maybe because time, or maybe because there's going to be Creed 3. You know, we want a little bit of conflict left, so I don't know. But I hope I can do another film with Stallone where we're fighting, you know. Maybe together, I don't know, we'll see. Maybe in Expendables, I'll ask him. Gunner and, you know, what's his name? Gunner and what's his character's name? Barney can have a fight.
That would be great.
I must break you.
Thank you so much. Next question, please.
Hello, Mr. Lundgren. I'm a great fan of Masters of the Universe. Till I was 8 years, 7 years. And for me, you are He-Man in person. Always, I see you this way. How many times did you this shoot when you take the sword out of this magical transmitter? I don't know what it was, and call and shout out, "I have the power."
Look, I can't remember. I know it was middle of the night, and I was really tired because I had to be on this diet, you know, all the way through that film because it was my costume, you know. In Rocky IV, I showed. I mean, I had a couple of fights, but I showed a body. But in He-Man, the whole movie, I was like with no clothes on, you know. I don't know how many times I know I practiced to scream, "I have the power," you know. But it was a good shoot. It was very cold. My costume was the size of a stamp, you know. So the rest was bare.
Thank you so much. Next question, please.
Hello, Mr. Lundgren. Nice to see you. You were in my favorite franchise, The Expendables. You speak a little bit about it. How was it to play with all the other action heroes? Are there some background funny stories playing with them? And do you have some information about Expendables 4? I would love to see you in Expendables 4 because you had also a funny role in the Expendables franchise.
Thank you. Yeah, I liked the Expendables. I thought it was a fun idea, and I thought, you know, maybe in 3 there were too many characters, perhaps. You know, with all the young Expendables, there was too many, maybe. But I don't know about Expendables 4. They were going to make it this year first. I heard about it, but then I got pushed till next year because Stallone, I think he always did Rambo, and I don't know what's going on there. But I think the funny thing about Expendables is that you have all of these action stars in one room, you know, where you know, we did a scene in the Expendables 2 where it's kind of raining, and we're gonna, Jean-Claude Van Damme is the bad guy, and we're all gonna fire at his truck. So, you know, in the morning we all come in after breakfast, and I'm with some friends from Sweden, my lawyer and some other friend of mine, and I come in this little tent, it's about this big, and I see Chuck Norris is over putting on some guns, then, you know, Banderas is over here, Mel Gibson walks in, and it's like, Harrison Ford is like, what the hell? And then Arnold shows up with a cigar, you know, and it's like, okay, everybody, let's go. It's a bit like a joke, the whole thing, you know. I was to say we were in Cannes, and we did for Expendables 3, we're on those tanks in Cannes. And Sly is telling me, okay, hey Arnold, you're going number 2, you with me, Mel. Dolph, get up over here. Harrison, get on the. It's like he's giving orders to all these huge fan, stars, you know, but I think most of these guys are used to being the star of their own movie. But here there's like 10 of them, you know, in the same picture. So it was quite special, you know. It was, I was kind of honored to be part of it, and it was kind of a great memory, really, for me. Thanks.
Thank you so much. There must be so much testosterone in one room, by the way.
Yeah, I know. There was a lot of it, you know, and...
Any conflicts?
Well, the big conflict was Sly and Arnold comparing who had the biggest watch. I got that one. Yeah, I like the one in green, yellow, and gold. No, but it was, you know, everybody smoking cigars, and it was fun. It was a fun thing. And I remember we had a conference for number 3 where Mel Gibson's the bad guy, and press conference in LA, and everybody's there, and then, you know, it was his first villain. I think he never played a villain, so one of the LA Times asks him, you know, Mr. Gibson, you know, how do you feel about playing the villain? And he's like, well, Stanislavski said, never judge your character. So I thought I was the good guy. He said, I thought Dolph Lundgren was the bad guy, but then, you know, I saw the movie, I realized, no, I'm the bad guy. So he's a funny guy, Mel, you know, he's a bit tricky, you know. So there are a lot of good memories in that series.
Thank you so much. Guys, we have time for last one question, so make it good.
Okay, my Greek friend.
Of course. I would like to ask you if you're fine with your life or if you would change something. Right now.
Well, you know, you can always... I mean, normally I don't go back and try to change things because things happen for a reason. You have to make mistakes in order to learn and grow as a person, you know. I made a lot of mistakes. Perhaps the one thing, maybe I wish that I could have been in a few more, like worked my way up as an actor and not necessarily been in a huge worldwide hit picture immediately, because I didn't really know what I was doing for the first 5 years of my career. I didn't necessarily plan to be an action star. I had a lot of inner emotional problems, and I realized acting could help me, but I never really got there. So that's why, you know, maybe I would have changed that. Maybe I would have worked as a waiter a little bit, like most other actors. I've never been a waiter, you know. I went straight to acting. So I'm sorry it took me 30 years to end up playing the kind of roles like I did now, you know, in these 2 movies, Creed 2 and Aquaman, the kind of roles that I wanted to play. But it only took 30 years, it wasn't so bad. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and guys, that's the all time that we have. So please, a big round of applause for Mr. Dolph Lundgren. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
sir. It was a pleasure.
Thanks, guys. See you soon.